Y'all, it's official. One of the most influential genres to have ever been created is dying, and I think I may know a few reasons why. Hip-hop has taken a few turns over the past 10 to 20 years as far as style, consistency, and content. But the worst turn that it has taken thus far is its ability to stand on its own two legs, which can be accredited to a few reasons. One being that a lot of artists I'm finding barely show any level of respect for what is supposed to be their craft. But what I mean by that is, with a lot of new artists, there never seems to be any ounce of respect being paid to those who have broken barriers for them to get where they are today. They don't ever seem to go back and study the game they are trying to be a part of. And that's an issue because when it comes to anything that you're trying to do, any field that you're trying to break into, or anything that you claim to have a love for, at some point you're going to have to take a step back and look at the history of your field. Even if you don't like everything from everybody who has once participated in what you are now doing, at least have the decency and the common sense to have some level of knowledge about who did what occurred, and when it happened. Because if you don't understand the history, if you don't understand why things are the way that they are, then you just make yourself appear to be an idiot. And in my own personal opinion, I feel like it discredits you as a artist. Like, how the hell are you gonna claim to be a rapper, but you don't know who Method Man is? How? Here I am, the Method Man. Reason number two being that the music industry, record labels, executives, etc. do not really care about hip-hop. What they do care about, though, is the opportunity that they see to make money while also simultaneously destroying lives and selling a dream. The music industry can get real sticky icky, especially as it relates to its relationship with ethnic consumers and underage consumers, which just so happen to coincidentally make up a lot of most of hip-hop's audience, or most of hip-hop's targeted audience, if you will. And that is something that I talk more about in my Is Rap Destructive video. Go check that out after this. But aside from that, since hip-hop is such an influential music genre that has the ability to create trends at the speed of light, many labels seen it as an opportunity to tamper with it for monetary gain. And this is when it stopped being about music and talent and became more about money and attention. With that being the case, it's absolutely nothing for them to find somebody with a voice that sounds good over a beat and a factor in their appearance that gets people talking. Forget making sense with your music, forget relatability, forget caring about your audience on a mental, emotional, and spiritual level. Nothing you say ever has to make any sense or even be good poetry. But if you pick somebody up with those qualities and you have the ability to make something catchy, then you got $1 million ticket. Take Ice Spice, for example. At first, everybody was clowning her because her music and delivery was absolutely terrible, but her appearance is nice. At one point, you literally could not go a whole 24 hours without hearing,
"You thought I was feeling you? That nigga a munch."
Oh, you thought I was feeling you? That nigga's a munch. Nigga's a eater, he eat it for lunch.
So we went from that shit is garbage, turn it off, to singing it every time we heard it because it's catchy. Even if it was against our will, we still, in the back of our mind, we still know like this is not, it's not hitting for real, and it's not really like good music, but it's catchy. This is all done on purpose, and just like clockwork, it works every time. Doesn't that make it a lot clearer to see how the attention to artistry just gets thrown out of the window?
So, when'd you fall in love with hip-hop? Right here, what we're gonna do is go back.
Hip-hop is life, and I don't mean that in a super obsessive, over-indulgent way. I mean it in a way where we can all understand that music is art, and art imitates life. Hip-hop is a genre that started trends, new movements, important conversations. It is a genre that unified and, to be fully honest, caused destruction and division all simultaneously at the same time. But that's the beauty of it. With a genre as balanced and diverse as hip-hop, its impact directly went hand in hand with the mirror that it held not only to our culture, it also held a mirror to the world. The diversity of real hip-hop kind of reminds me of the world we live in today, where there's the good, the laughing, the partying, having a good time, and then there's the bad, the fighting, sadness, and gloom, all of which are natural human emotions that mostly everyone can relate to. Of course, when we talk about the pioneers of hip-hop, or the artists from the 80s, 90s, and some of the 2000s who paved the way for today's rappers, we have no choice but to be in awe and give them their flowers, because during their time they created such amazing things that could not ever be replicated, no matter how many times they try It can never ever be replicated. That's because they understood how important it was to stay in touch with your roots. They understood how important it was to be grounded as far as what they were producing and who they were. These artists were raw, real, talented, and took their time with their creations. Music wasn't being released every 6 months to a year. There were gaps in between that allowed time and space to be, live, and create all over again.
Why I hear new music and I just don't be feeling it. Racism still alive, they just be concealing it. But I know they don't want me in the damn club. They even make me show ID to get up in the Sam's Club.
These new artists got lost in the sauce under the guise of record labels doing everything for money, but never recognizing that the most important thing you can do as an artist is put the craft and the people first. Like, I want to use Tupac for an example. Not in the means to idolize him or compare him to anybody ever, but just to make a point, because he's close to the best point that I can make in this instance. And Tupac became a known rapper, and as he was making a name for himself, he was able to cater to his audience without selling himself short. Tupac gave himself to the people but isolated himself from the industry, which gave him an advantage because no matter what they were trying to do to him from the inside, on the outside, the people always had his back. And that's what today's artists fail to do. They'd rather appease to the industry and the labels for the money than to stay true to themselves and create what they want to create while also staying in tune with their audience. When they say jump, they ask how high as opposed to the ladder. It's extremely hard for artists to have that type of die-hard, close-knit fan base when they aren't staying grounded and making sure to relate to their audience. And they can't possibly be relating to the audience when all they do is talk about materialistic things that their fan base has never gotten the opportunity to touch a day in their lives. All this does is cause some to idolize and envy, which can both lead to separation. But it's clear that they don't get that part. There's nothing to microwave a few ABC rhymes and put it on top of a beat, especially when you have a machine behind you to push it. And at this point, it's crazy to say, but even the record labels themselves are growing bored of exploiting hip-hop and are about to move on to the next real soon, because the artists have gotten too comfortable with the game. For a long time, I wondered if hip-hop could ever die because of the history, the impact, and the legacy being so imprinted in our culture and our world that I just couldn't imagine its actual death. But with the way these artists are looking, with the way that the fans are responding, and the way that the record labels are moving, it's extremely hard to see a real future for hip-hop if it keeps going at the pace that it is. Because although the record label and the industry does have a role to play in its demise, the rappers themselves need to recognize that there is no show without them, and there is no them without their supporters. So if they don't get on their Zoom soon, and very soon, it's gonna be real hard out here for a pimp.
You know